Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Copeland, love coach and dating expert for women over 50. And I have an amazing client with me, Kathy, who was a client, went through my program, and we're going to talk today about her experience in the program and how it was for her. So, hi, Kathy.
Hi, Lisa. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I so appreciate you doing this because it helps women realize the kind of help that they might need. And I guess my first question for you is what made you decide you wanted a coach? Where were you before we started coaching? Actually, let's start there. Where were you before you and I started coaching together?
I actually wasn't really dating at the time be- because of family circumstances and my former husband passing and a lot of things. And then when I kind of wanted to get back into it, I read your book and I worked through the exercises. And I believe in the book, you may have something in there if you want to have a 20-minute consultation. And I love the book. It made me think about my life now different than in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, because I'm 64. And I really loved the book and I took it seriously and took the notes and did all the exercises. And then when I spoke with you on the phone, um, uh, learning what I could learn from you, because I am a physician and I'm definitely an alpha woman. I've been a leader my entire life and a strong woman. I've had really good relationships, but it's been hard for me to sometimes find a partner and also not to speak in a different way, a dating relationship versus managing 50 doctors. So, and running a family and all of those other things where I have to be, the alpha woman, So after speaking with you and actually talking to my financial planner and saying, should I invest in this? She said, if it has to do with your health, your joy, do it. And I said, it is because I really want to learn some new tools. You have to learn new tools at different ages, just like your body changes. And so you need to change your mind and grow and think differently.
That's true because as we're growing, as well, let's say as we're aging,
Yeah.
we have different feelings about ourselves and about men. And it's like we're exploring new territory. Did you ever feel like that? Like this is totally new.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, I know when I need a coach. Like I have a financial advisor. I have lots of physicians that manage my health and I listen to them. I'm not an expert in their areas and they're not an expert in mine. And so I wanted, the book was such a great foundation, but then doing the online classes and hearing from women and the exercises, it just is the way I like to approach things with learning and an open mind and doing the work, reflecting on myself, my patterns, what I love about myself, what I love about my life right now. And so it was just really eye-opening and very, very helpful. And I told a lot of women about it, because if I love something, everybody knows. And if I don't, they know too.
So you hadn't dated in a long time and you got the tools you needed. And then you went out and dated. How was that?
The thing that I really loved the most about your classes were you're like, it's dating, it's 2 hours. Go with an open mind. It's not like you're looking to say, is this person a husband? You're going to, and the mantra, I'm going to meet a new and interesting person. And that
Yeah.
became my mantra. And I had fun with it. Other people would, and I wanted the support. Other women would say, oh, I can't imagine dating again. If my husband died, blah, 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 there's no good men out there. And I'm like, I don't believe that. I'm a good woman. I'm out there, but I'm just going to keep an open mind. And you kept saying, you know, uh, leave it to do a 2 hour day. If there's an energy there, go again. Keep an open mind because, you know, uh, we're at a different stage in life. I mean, I'm looking for a companion and a partner to travel and have fun and dinner. I've had my children. I've had, my career. I don't need somebody to pay my way or take care of me. I love a partnership and a loving relationship. So it made me date people I never would have considered. It made me meet people that have become friends, and it just made me realize how much joy I have in my own life, and that I'm willing to wait until I find that person, and I feel so blessed. So it was much easier. The hard things were learning to flirt and say the I feel words, because in my career it's I think,
Right.
to learn some of those words and your topics for engaging conversation, so it's not a job interview. Because sometimes I felt like people are doing a job interview, they're like throwing out all these questions, or they disclose so much personal stuff. And I think those were the other things that really helped me with you, to learn to slowly let it evolve, percolate, keep an open mind, and that's what I did, and I went on and have been on a lot of dates. And sometimes it went a few dates, sometimes it was one or two, but I never had one that I met new and interesting people. So
It
it was good.
changes. It changes
It
dating because it makes it
does.
more fun versus, oh my God, is he the one? I have to figure it out before
Oh
my
God,
coffee's done.
yes, it's so different. And most of my previous partners and relationships were work related, college related, people in my profession or other things. So now that I'm retired, it's a challenge to find different ways of meeting people than just being online. But now, I've gotten back to golfing and traveling, and I can, pick up a conversation with anybody. So
That's
I
good.
just really, really enjoyed it. And
And the I feel that you're talking about is about being in your feminine side versus what you talked about in the very beginning. You wanted to learn. The feminine side is learning to receive. Some women think, oh my God, I have to lay down like a doormat. No, you
yeah,
don't. You just want to learn to receive. And you have men need us to identify emotions. And that's the I feel. And
yes.
how did that feel from going from I think to I
It
feel?
was big training, and I would really catch myself because, again, most of my life was I think, and so
Yes.
um, I would catch myself, practicing. I would practice it with friends. I really loved writing the profile with you, because after we did the profile, and I am a writer, so I do love to write. But after writing the profile, I had so many men comment on the profile and the photos and appreciate the full body photos, the face photos, the activity photos, your advice on, the photos and the, 3 paragraphs was fabulous.
Short
It's
and
not
sweet.
a life story. It's not a life story. And I don't have to tell my life story on a first date or second date or a third date. I can just let it, kind of organically be open. But there's also like the non-negotiables that I'm not willing to compromise on. So it's very clear; those things are very clear, and I respect other people's boundaries, and that's fine.
Can you see now, though, had you just gone out with that profile, the parts and pieces that would have been missing behind it, like the confidence you had to come into, the understanding of men, and that clear vision of the right man, and that's all reflected in your profile. If you look back and you think, oh my God, I think I'm just going to write a profile and put it on a dating site, how do you think that would have worked for you?
Well, I had done that because I had been on dating sites. I'd been on, early. I've been, on my own for 20 years. I was
Mhm.
divorced and then, dated during that time. And then my former husband died. So here I'm a D widow, which is there's no category or box to check on an online thing. And so it really, I think it just changed everything in terms of having the confidence and a softer approach to it and making it fun. and enjoying, and then also taking a break if there's too much happening in my life, or realizing, during the holidays is just not a good time. There's too much going on, and having the freedom to go off for a while. And like I said, I've dated a few people for 3 to 6 months, and kept very open eyes. Didn't, you very much emphasized if there's too much of a connection or energy or sexual energy, run the other way, you're looking for a companion. And so I really, I kept saying to people, I'm doing soul growth these days, eyes wide open. And it's not about perfect. None of us is perfect, but
No.
it's really, seeing if there's that authenticity and genuineness, and, having similar passions for some things. And I don't want a twin, but I definitely, would want to share some of the same passions, and have fun. I feel honored to be 64, and I'm proud of it. My mother passed at 41, so I'm not afraid of my age. I don't lie about it. I won't date somebody if they do. That for me is a non-starter. I'm comfortable in my own skin. But before in the profiles, I think I wrote too much, that I was a physician, and that I just wrote too much, and I didn't need to disclose that. That's the purpose of meeting.
Yes, you didn't have to disclose it in your profile. You did as you got to know someone.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. But you don't, like I said, when I read other people's profiles, I'm like, oh my God, or somebody going on, or I don't want. It's like, well, what do you want? So, I just felt like anything, why go out there unprepared? And what you do is give such good practical advice. And it's not dumbing down ourselves. It's really about loving ourselves at this age, being clear, learning to speak the language that men hear, because we do have, different ways of communicating. And it really made me feel so much more comfortable, in the environment. And to either say to somebody, oh, I really enjoyed you, but I just don't think we're a match, or yeah, let's go out again.
You
And
got back into your own power and honoring yourself for what
yes,
you wanted.
yeah,
And that's one of the biggest things I teach women, because as women, we have a tendency to bend like a pretzel to honor everybody but ourselves. So,
right.
what do you think of all the tools you learned? What do you think the biggest one was that helped you the most?
I think the biggest thing that helped me the most was keeping an open mind. Just keeping
Mhm.
an open mind and going with joy and repeating the mantra. I'm going to meet a new and interesting person. And even if I left the date and it wasn't that great, I wasn't upset, or just, I was out for a night. And, I hold on to hope. Like, if
Yeah.
I continue to date, and it takes me 10 more years to meet that person, that's fine. But, I also am really joyful in my own life, and I can feel that in other people. I don't I think that you just made it be playful and fun, and also practical, in terms of there's so many different ways of doing relationships at our ages. Do you want to live with somebody? Do you want to be married? Do you, want to just travel together? There's all the different things that come in. And when you start looking at those options, it's really looking to see, do we have those same desires? Like for me, I'm 64, but my kids are, younger. They're 27 and 24. I really don't want to be with a man who wants to be with his grandkids all weekend. I
Mhm.
love kids, but that's just not what I want to do. So, it's having some of that clarity, and not having to explain it, but it's just okay. And
Yeah.
I've really
It's,
met some really interesting men that would never have crossed my path. And
it sounds like you realized from us working together that you had choices you didn't think you had before.
right.
And women tell me that there's a lot of men they date they never would have met before, and they're great men. Did you find that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
dated my most recent relationship was about 3.5 months, and he was a very nice person, honest, loved dogs, loved to golf, really enjoys good wine, and I like to cook. And it was a slow grow. And in the end, I felt that he, how should I, let's see. Oh, there was a miscommunication through a text. And I'm not a big texter. I mean, I'll text to say I'm late or this, but if there's a need to have a conversation, I want to do it face to face and in person. And so there was a miscommunication over a text. And I picked up the phone to call him and say, I think you've completely misunderstood this text. Can we talk? And about an hour later, it was like, I don't know. I need to think about this. I need to sleep on it. And it was like a totally different side. And this is somebody who really prided himself on having good manners. And anyway, I thought that's strange. Like, I'm happy to sit down and discuss anything, but this text was weird. Anyway, that night my dog had a seizure and vomited, and I'm in the emergency department, with my dog. And he sends me a text and says, I don't want to play games. We weren't into this. And, I think it's done. And I was stunned. But also I was like, so grateful that I only spent 3 months with him, because I thought, you pride yourself on being a gentleman, but any man that I'm with, if my dog's in the hospital, they're not going to be breaking up with me on text. They're going to be at my home with flowers, knowing how much I'm hurting. And so
Yeah.
It was, and I had loaned him this book because I was going on a trip to Fiji. So I asked him to send it back. And I paid the postage, but I just wrote him a note. And as one of my friends always says, it takes at least 4 seasons to know somebody, or a year. You need to see him in all seasons. Yeah. And I was with him 3 months, and I said, I'm really glad I only knew you for a season, but it was enough to show me that, any man who would break up with me over a text is not the man for me. And on the day that my dog was dying, looked like he was dying, and I wish you the best.
So did you get back to your quality man template and hold him up to it? And how did he look because sometimes a quality man template, for those just watching this, it's a clear vision of the right man for you. And sometimes we can put a square peg into a round hole and think someone fits and think they have potential. So what did you find when you went back to look at that tool that helped you to grow from there?
I think what helped me, it was a slow grow. I did feel that he sometimes acted much older than we were the same age, because his wife had died 20 years ago of breast cancer, and he retired in his early 50s. So he was very regimented about time. First we saw each other once a week, and then he was like, can we see each other more? And it ended up being like 2 times a week when he wasn't golfing, from 3 till 9. And so, and my friends kind of teased, we called him 20-mile radius Greg, because he lived in this, a senior community. So he golfed, and that was his whole social life. And
but your quality man template, when you held him up to this,
I held it up to him, I realized, it takes a while to get to know somebody, but I did not feel that he was as open. I felt there was some areas that he was closed, and he was not as
you were looking for a more open man.
Yeah, I'm looking for somebody open and who has an inquisitiveness about life and a curiosity.
Yeah.
And I noticed the first time when he came into my home, he didn't even look at a photo, a piece of art, or anything. And I'm somebody, they don't have to be exactly, but he just didn't have that same zest. And I kept saying to people, it's a slow grow. I was just trying it out, and I didn't feel like 3 months was a big investment of my time. But as soon as I saw the big red flag in the sense of a text, I was like, a 64-year-old who thinks he's a gentleman breaks up in a test, I'm done, and I just deleted the messages and was done, and I let it go.
Your
know?
values probably were not
No,
congruent with each other, and that's why having values in that template is so important. So
no,
one last question for you,
sure.
because the goal is really to help women see the possibilities here, which is what you saw when you first read my book, which we'll post below. It's The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50. It's on Amazon. But you saw the possibilities. I want women to see, gosh, this really is possible. So if you wanted to give someone who was either just starting on this journey or who was a little stuck right now on this journey, what words of wisdom would you give them?
Number one, I would say read the book, because it's a great introduction to kind of all that you do at a much deeper level. But it's a great overview, and I've probably given 10 of them to friends of mine who are dating.
Thank you.
So I know when I like a book, I get it for people, because again, we have to continue to learn and grow, whether it's about taking care of our health, whatever. So to me, that, and then the investment in the classes and the connections with the other women and the exercises were just so wonderful that, I think that I have such a positive attitude about dating. I am, seeing somebody right now, it's just starting out, but he's very thoughtful and kind, and I have to have surgery in a couple weeks, and he's offered to do grocery shopping and things, and we don't really hardly know each other yet, but I'm giving him more time to just kind of see. So my advice is to read the book and to definitely have a consultation with you, and to really consider doing coaching at this age, because otherwise you're kind of walking through this blindly, and you may attract the same things that you've always attracted and then wonder why you end up in the same place. And I'm somebody who's very reflective and committed to my own change and growth. And I learned so much, and I just, it changed my whole way of looking at even myself. When you have to look at the things you love about yourself, and going out and buying clothes that fit you now, instead of saying, I'm going to wait till I lose 10 pounds, or, all this other crap that I do think it is that spirit and that energy that you give off and that you feel from other people. That's really what matters. And, to me, you are the expert in this area, and why not work with an expert instead of fumbling around, and wasting time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What I love about you, Kathy, is that you are out there dating and having fun right now. That it is okay to have this as a choice and to try some people out. And we are at an age where we don't have to be one way. So I so appreciate you taking the time to share what's been going on in your life with all my viewers, and for where you're at, and just for inspiring them, because it is possible, and all kinds of ways of dating are possible, and love are possible. And I'm so glad you shared and wanted to help other women see what was possible for them. And we're going to leave also below the link to the book, and the conversation Kathy's talking about. We'll give you a link to that as well. So Kathy, thank you so, so much. And for everyone here, so believing in you. You've got this.
Well, thank you. And I really loved it. You would always say, so believing in you, you've got this, hugs. And it was just wonderful to feel that support, and the support of the other women doing it on Zoom, I think, is really a critical piece that you don't get from the book. So thank you, Lisa. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so glad we could work out this time.
Me too, Kathy. Thank you.
Take care and be well.